Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Deep Issues Podcast. We got an extra deep, extra creepy topic for you tonight. It is day 5,393 in the Search for Tim Shovelday. This is Deep Issues Podcast number 33. I'm your host, Josh Houslander. With me, as always, we have our producer extraordinaire, Adam Hernandez, and our Deep Issues expert, Edwin Zaharsky. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Tonight's topic is Satanism. Mostly we're focusing on Satanism behind conspiracies, behind some of the popular conspiracies that you hear, and whether or not there is a satanic link to them. But let's kind of just jump into Satanism as a whole. Right off the bat, and I think we should try to differentiate, and I know Adam knows a lot about, or a fair amount about this, but the modern Church of Satan, or the modern Satanism, or rational Satanism, as it's sometimes called, or LaVeyan Satanism, is what you hear about a lot. Those are the guys who are always trying to, at the free speech rallies, trying to get the Baphomet statue up, and things like that. That Church of Satan was founded in 1966 by a guy named Anton Szandor LaVey.
Pick up sticks.
Thanks, Adam.
You know that's wrong, right? It's Water boy. Go ahead.
He was a former carny. Who founded this Church of Satan. But what's kind of, a lot of people like to talk about the misconceptions, and do not think for a second that I'm sticking up for this, because I'm not. But the modern Church of Satan is supposedly, for the most part, are really actually technically a group of atheists who really are using Satanism to mock the Abrahamic religions in a lot of ways, and they are more into kind of they worship self. They're into self-indulgence, things like that. For instance, in the modern Church of Satan, their top holiday is your birthday. Your birthday is the most important holiday to them, because you focus on self, if you will. They also kind of go into, and Adam, jump in anytime, because I know you know some stuff about this. They strangely kind of go back to a lot of things that are true of the more ancient religions, Old Testament kind of stuff, the idea of eye for an eye, and that their biggest cardinal sin is stupidity. Stupidity is their biggest sin, according to them, and they are into their form of rationalism. But that Anton Szandor LaVey guy, he was a pretty creepy dude, though. He looked like a Satanist.
They definitely like got into more of the occult that came with their religion. But it's true, though. They weren't, they weren't Satanists in the form of a theistic Satanist would be. Fix your microphone. There you go. Good job. They didn't worship the devil. They were very much atheists.
Most of them.
I think
some of that's kind of supposedly.
I think Anton Van LaVey, he said that he chose the term Satanism because it got people to think. Mm-hmm. It got people to think about what they were, what they actually were. And it was all about reason. It was all about, I don't know if I'd say self-indulgence, but
those are their words.
It was more about, it was about yourself. In some sense, they chose the term satanic or satanic temple, the satanic, really whatever, mainly because they wanted to, I hate using the term mock Christianity, but question Christianity.
I'm pretty sure they want to mock
and the theories and the theories behind it. So
I'm pretty sure it's.
But it had nothing. It had nothing to do with the Christian or the Christian devil or anything like that.
I mean, and hey,
I'm sure Christians are going to disagree just because it's taken direct aim at them, but that's not the case.
I think for some people that join the modern Church of Satan, I think that is true. They just are trying to, they're getting a rise out of people. They're, and they are in fact atheists, and they're just trying to point out what they view as the ridiculousness of religion or of believing in a god or whatever. But I also, in some ways, like to kind of call bullshit on some of it, because I don't think that's true about everyone that joins it, and there are real Satanists out there, and I do think many of them are involved in this. And Anton Szandor LaVey was definitely although he always said that he didn't want to worship Satan as a deity, he wasn't a full-out atheist as an atheist would describe themselves, because he was very involved in the occult. Very involved in, kind of a demonic spiritualism.
But the thing is, though, is if you have somebody who isn't a true to form Church of Satanists, you get that in any religion. Are there true Christians out there? Are there true Muslims out there? Are there true Jews out there that claim they are yet really aren't?
Yeah, and that's what I'm giving them credit. But to say the opposite, to say that they all just kind of go off this, technically atheist view of the world.
Okay, well, that was the dogma then of the Church of Satan.
Right.
Is atheism and
the official dogma.
Yes.
But the thing that I kind of link this to in a lot of ways, the reason why I kind of call BS, is that there's a lot of groups out there like that when they put out a publicist, they put out a person that likes to come out and talk about their views, they put a good face on. And quite frankly, there's several people actually, who are members of the Ku Klux Klan, for instance, who, when they talk to the press, they make it sound not so bad. This happened. They have these people for the KKK who come out and say, like, hey, we're not against black people. We're just, just talking about our race, And they do, there's some people that do a really excellent job for the KKK of telling you why their group isn't what you think it is. And I think there's quite a few groups out there like that. Another example is Scientology. There's people for Scientology out there. Now, dig a little deeper, and you're going to hear some stuff about Scientology that we pretty much know is true at this point, but that they will just deny forever through their teeth.
It's like you see Tom Cruise in all these movies, like, man, that dude's awesome. Like, what religion is he? Oh, Scientology? Maybe that's not so bad. Then you look into it, and it's like, damn, this thing is horrible.
And I'm sure if we could have gotten, and we did try to get a representative from the Church of Satan, on the show tonight, and they couldn't, and that's fine. I'm not criticizing them for not coming on, but it was the exact thing remember, Adam, when you tried to get somebody from Church of Scientology on the show, we kind of got the exact same response, like, oh, let me get back to you, let me let me talk to thy boss, and we'll see. So I think the people who are drawn to the Church of Satan are, they aren't all in line step with this, the outward dogma, but many probably are. Technically, if you're an atheist, then you wouldn't, I mean, a true atheist doesn't believe in anything. They don't believe in spirituality. We're meat. We're here.
That's not to say that you can't be an atheist and not believe in yourself, though.
No, you can. You're right. No, for sure. But I mean, a true atheist isn't. They would view the Church of Satan just as ludicrously as they view the Church of Christ. The Islamic faith. They would.
I don't think that's true.
Okay, well then that's fine. I mean, that's fine, and you have done a good case for, I guess, the healthiness of the Church of Satan. But if that is true, then there isn't like a ton more to say about them. Then this Church of Satan aren't real Satan worshipers. So let's talk about the people who are, because there are people out there that worship Lucifer and worship Satan and do believe in it. And those people that do that, in some ways you could say that the true Satan worshipers, the true worshipers of Lucifer, are closer in ideology or in spiritual ideology to me, a devout Catholic, than they are to an atheist. We believe in the same we believe in the same God. We just choose different sides.
What do they call them sometimes? Reverse Christians? I think I've heard that term before.
Perhaps, yeah.
I thought I heard it before.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard that particular one, but that would make sense. That would, that.
I don't know if they'd be very cool with being called reverse Christians.
Well, and that's the thing, is that I think
Bizarro Christians.
I think many of the people that truly worship Lucifer are a lot more underground, and aren't going to be on Twitter talking about it, like the satanic temples are, and that can be found in most major cities. We have one here in Detroit. There's but that's why I say that I believe some of those people are going to be drawn to the Church of Satan, and you're not going to necessarily. Sorry, I'm having trouble with this mic tonight.
Well, I think they get drawn to it just because of the name, and then they find out what it's all about.
But then, do they all leave?
I'm sure they probably do to some extent. Yeah.
Or do they have little groups within it that really believe that?
But again, that would make sense though, because true believers of the Church of Satan would have nothing to do, or they wouldn't have any similarities in their beliefs when it comes to theistic Satanists and Church of Satan Satanists.
I mean, we're just showing some stuff, that we're looking at Instagram and Twitter a little bit ago of satanic rituals. Some of them were, on the page saying that you can go to the Detroit Temple of Satan.
But the basis is whether or not you actually believe in the devil or you believe in yourself. They're two different things.
Okay, so the rituals that some people are doing where they're trying to, blood rituals and things, those are just fake.
Okay, well, what are you doing it for though? Are you doing it for Satan himself, or are you doing it as some earthly ritual to yourself, like what the Church of Satan would probably be doing it for?
I don't know. I'm not I'm not a member of it. I wouldn't know. And don't want to be.
And you see, I think that's what you're taking this as. I think you're looking at this from a Christian perspective.
Well, yeah, I am. I'm a Christian person, so my perspective is like that. But I'm not like hating on them at all. Really, I'm just.
What was that, Ed?
I'm not so sure that the ideas you're presenting are mutually exclusive, because one of the beliefs, as I understand it, of Satanism is that you are God. So if you're worshiping God and you're worshiping yourself, you think they're one and the same for a Satanist.
Okay, but
yeah,
you aren't Satan though, and I don't think Church of Satan people who belong to that believe they are Satan, though.
Yeah, but I mean they're following the footsteps of Lucifer, who by the biblical thing, Isaiah 14:12 talks about, Lucifer was the perfect angel who grew arrogant, and he wanted to be God and overthrow God. I'm just talking. I'm talking about the different types of Satanism.
I know, but you're trying to equate that to the Church of Satan, and that this is not the case.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist.
Now you're talking from a Christian perspective, totally, and that's fine.
Yes, I am talking from a Christian perspective. I'm a Christian.
But that doesn't go hand in hand with what they believe. They would look at you and be like, "Huh, that's a bunch of bullshit."
Maybe they would.
They would do that.
Just like a person in the KKK would say, "Oh, you think I'm just a terrible racist? That's a bunch of bullshit."
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I was trying to.
Okay, then go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, you're getting angry.
No, I'm not. You just keep on trying to equate something that isn't equatable.
Okay, so everyone in the Church of Satan is a great dude.
Because that's what I said.
No,
just keep going.
I'm bored. Okay, cool.
Yeah, me too. Go ahead.
Church of Satan is neat. They're just some silly people who are.
Go ahead.
Adam, I'm just trying.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to. You keep fucking telling me to go ahead.
You keep on going on with all this smart ass shit.
I'm not being a smart ass. I'm trying to tell you that I'm trying to find common ground here.
And I'm letting you go. Go.
Okay, so if we've established that the Church of Satan is just some dudes who are just kind of dudes and chicks who are just kind of, they're atheists. They're just kind of being silly and kind of in some ways, but then, having a serious thing. Then let's talk about the Christian view of what Lucifer is, and not just the Christian view. This would be the Jewish view, the Islamic view, the traditional view of who Lucifer was. I said the only time Lucifer is mentioned in the Bible is Isaiah 14:12. He's talked about in other ways, but I believe that's the only time he's referred to as Lucifer, is in that. And Lucifer was supposed to be the fallen angel. Pride was his downfall. He wanted a kingdom above God, and he got roughly a third of the angels, and they revolted, and boom, sent him down to hell. Lucifer turned into a dragon, and Michael, the archangel, fought him and defeated him, and that's that. And the Christian view, again, it's just the Christian view. I'm just telling that story, that you can believe or not believe, of course. Many Christians think that that's all just allegorical or whatever. It's no big deal. But it's part of that where it turns to a worship of God. Now we're not even talking Christ yet. We're just talking God. Is that God was definitely more powerful. He didn't actually even have to fight Lucifer himself. He just, empowered the Archangel Michael to do so. Okay, that's it. So we've covered, kind of the both sides of that. The just trying to differentiate the Christian view of what Satanism is and Satan is, all that stuff. I guess, many hardcore Christians would say, just simply pushing the view of Satanism or throwing that out there is bad, and it, would perhaps damn you to hell or whatever. But the Church of Satan doesn't believe in hell, so they don't care. That's, I guess, moving forward. Anything else anyone else want to throw in there?
Nope.
Okay. I guess one of the main things I want to cover, and perhaps you guys disagree, but I do believe that there are people out there who do actually worship Lucifer, worship Satan, who are part of, a dark force, perhaps. Even if it's fake. even if religion isn't real, even if faith is real. I happen to think it is, but that doesn't matter. That's, what I think. So if there are out there, and they're not the Church of Satan, who are those other dudes, not the LaVeyan Satanism, which they do differentiate through that. They say they are modern Satanists, rational Satanists, LaVeyan Satanists. And I can't remember the name of the guy. LaVey was the head of the Church of Satan until 1977 when he died. There is a new head now who is actually much more, even more than LaVey, is much more on par with this whole we don't worship Satan. We're
Peter Gilmore.
Peter Gilmore, thank you. But there are, links to this in the idea of secret societies, things like this that we've mentioned in past shows. The Illuminati, if the Illuminati exists, and as we've talked about on this show in the past, when we're talking about the Illuminati, I don't know if there's really a group out there that calls themselves the Illuminati, or if the Illuminati is just something that we, crazy conspiracy theorists call them. But the Illuminati means, obviously, to illuminate. And that's what Lucifer was. Lucifer was, the morning star. He was supposed to be the bright star. He illuminated. He tried to shine above God because he thought himself to be better than God. So he was illuminating, if you will. This, symbol of a sun. The symbol of, sun worship is kind of brought into the fold from the ancient religions into Lucifer. This is kind of talked about or hinted at with the elites being part of this in the movie Eyes Wide Shut, which I think is a pretty dumb movie, actually, but many people say that was Stanley Kubrick as a very old man trying to expose some of what he had seen with the elites and the illuminated ones, if you will. The Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the Freemasons. There are some that believe that Freemasonry itself is actually worship of Lucifer. That as you get higher up into the higher degrees of Freemasonry, you come to realize that the God you are worshiping isn't the God that we know of. It's the other guy. Much of this comes into play when you talk about elites and you talk about what they're doing behind closed doors, which leads us into the award shows, for instance. Ed, have you done any research on this when with the idea that the award shows that we watch, the Grammys, big one, American Music Awards, which actually the American Music Award is like a kind of an Illuminati statue. The Oscars and the what's the other one? The Emmys as well. That these are, in essence, they are altars. They are rituals to whatever it is, satanic, if you will, idea that these elites are pushing.
Would it surprise anyone that all these Hollywood people are actually into Illuminism or Satanism?
No, it doesn't to me, but it doesn't to me at all. And I guess the question is, to me anyway, when you're talking about, because we've talked on these shows in the past about the Illuminati. We did a whole show just on the Illuminati. We talked about the Freemasons. We talked about the different societies, the Skull and Bones, the Trilateral Commission, the Hellfire Club, Bohemian Grove. We covered these at length on this show. And we all kind of have come to an agreement that although we don't agree on everything that happens with them, that they are definitely nefarious. that these groups exist and are pulling strings. And I guess the question is just, how bad do you think they are? You know, do you think they're just kind of bad, or do you think they're really, really bad? And I hope that, you know, when we're talking, that most people can find common ground in the idea that, yes, I am coming from a Christian perspective, and that Satanism is bad. That Satan is a bad guy, and that people that worship him are bad people. So, again, not talking about those people who are using a Baphomet statue to try to push ideas of freedom of speech. I don't always agree with those people. I think they're, you know, kind of snarky and weird, and I think they're going about their point. If they have a good point, I think they're going about it poorly, but it doesn't matter. That's not who I'm criticizing. At all. And there's plenty of YouTube videos you can find of people, you know, talking about the Church of Satan and how it's actually a great thing, and they were the first ones to accept homosexuality and transgenders, and, you know, they did this way back in the 60s and 70s, long before the Democrats thought it was cool, long before any Republican even thought about getting on board. They were very accepting of those things. Even feminism, you know, ideas such as that. And that's great. But, again, not necessarily who I'm talking about. I'm talking about people, if they do exist, who are, you know, worshiping Satan and practicing occult Satanism. The Aleister Crowley type of Satanism, not the LaVeyan Satanism. We know that, well, I guess this isn't rock solid proof, but we know that these things do happen, that rituals such as this happen, because there's tons of evidence of abandoned buildings where they find pentagrams and blood stains on the floor, and they definitely find evidence that, wow, this is creepy, there was a satanic ritual done here. This seems to be found, especially in, you know, big cities and old abandoned buildings, with, you know, cat blood on the ground and big pentagrams and gross stuff going on, or remnants of gross stuff.
Sacrifice of some sort.
Right. And Aleister Crowley, his big thing was he was into, I don't know that he was into sacrifice, but he was into very strange sexual practices. The debate is whether or not they were always consensual, or whether or not they were, you know, terrible rumors of things he did with children and things like that. Definitely not consensual. But, again, this, you know, this happened a long time ago. This isn't necessarily fact. Much of what we know about Aleister Crowley and his followers is hearsay, or could be distorted just simply by time, if not by, you know, definite lies about it. Ed, were you here when we did the show on Bohemian Grove?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Sorry.
Adam, you and I did the show on Bohemian Grove, where there's obviously, you know, major, you know, a definite weird practice going on at Bohemian Grove, which is still something that goes on every year. Same with the Skull and Bones. We talked about them at length, too. It's something that, you know, George W. Bush and John Kerry famously were both a part of at Yale, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we have these things, and that we know happen. You know, these strange rituals, owl worship, goat worship, you know, rumors of things that are worse. You know, in the Skull and Bones, they say that you have to, you know, go tell them your grossest sexual fantasies and things. That's actually pretty much confirmed. But they kind of write it off as that's a gag. It's a joke. It's yeah, you caught us worshiping the owl. It's just a big joke. They went to major lengths to hide that they were doing it, but then when they're caught, it's like, oh yeah, that. Yeah, no big deal. Why, when we have the footage of some of the things, really weird things going on at Bohemian Grove, and major members of society coming out and saying really weird things about Bohemian Grove, it's weird to me that that's not mainstream news.
Well, as we discussed last episode, the mainstream news is pretty much controlled, so of course you didn't hear about that.
How does that thing come out? And I know it was years ago now, so I guess it's a who cares thing now, but how isn't that like front page news every year when Bohemian Grove happens? That, yeah, we know this is what happens, and this is who we know showed up to Bohemian Grove this year. Long list of guys. No, it's not even mentioned. So this is occult simply means hidden, and this is certainly being hidden from us. The rule about who was it, the guy that passed away, Tim Russert, years ago. He tried to ask both George W. Bush and John Kerry when they were running for president about Skull and Bones. They both sidestepped the question completely, and he brought up okay, now it's true, the rule when you're in Skull and Bones is if anyone mentions Skull and Bones, you're supposed to walk out of the room. So he straight up asked John Kerry. So if somebody brings it up at your debate next week, are you guys both just going to walk out of the room? Then he just sidesteps the question and says, I'd like to debate George W. Bush right now. Okay. That wasn't the answer. And when Bush was asked about it, he chuckled and he said, oh, it's so secret I can't talk about it. What else do you want to talk? He's like, no, it's a secret. And tried to be playful about it. It's like, no, but the question was real. The question was legitimate. It wasn't meant to be a joke,
Of course, the question would never come up at the debate because they're so controlled.
Right.
They would never allow it.
Exactly. Was Crowley linked to the Hellfire Club, or is that? I know the Hellfire Club dates back long before Crowley.
I'll take a look.
Okay. Benjamin Franklin was linked to the Hellfire Club, as we know, and we know for sure that Ben Franklin was linked to the Hellfire Club, and we know for sure that the Hellfire Club did some really strange, really nasty rituals and grotesque things. Do we know for sure that Ben Franklin was linked to that? No, we don't. We certainly don't have any video evidence of it, but we do know that the apartment in Europe that he used to lease from the Hellfire Club, that they found several bodies in that place. Now, Ben wasn't always hanging out there that often. The chances are it was probably somebody else, but somebody was storing dead bodies in that place.
It seems like he adopted their theme, or their motto, excuse me, which is do what thou wilt.
And that's a Crowley thing, right? Or that was a Hellfire Club thing?
I think it was originally a Hellfire Club thing, but then he later used it himself. So it doesn't seem like he was actually part of the club. He just used their motto.
He got kicked out of several things, too, didn't he? I believe. Was it the Masons or something that he kept being linked to, but then kept getting kicked out of, I think?
I'm not sure, actually, unless you know, Ed.
I'm not sure.
Okay, we talked about the ritual evidence. The thing that the Eyes Wide Shut movie was supposed to be was a throwback to were the Rothschild parties that we've all seen some footage of or pictures of, I'm sure, because pictures do exist of some of the Rothschild parties where they will give you the invitations written backwards, and which is supposed to be a ode to Satan when you're speaking backwards or writing backwards. And they have the insane looking headdresses and weird things with
It's like when you
dead
play a
babies,
record
fake
backwards.
fake dead babies in the pictures, of course, but bodies and baby bodies and things like that. And anyone can Google the crazy Rothschild party pictures. They're everywhere. It's usually the same, like 4 or 5 pictures you always see. That I don't know who actually took them or how they. But it's definitely certified on that one. But but again, people just write that off as rich people do weird things. Rich people can why are they so weird? Because they can afford to be. But they're creepy as hell.
Is that really an excuse, though? It's just they can't.
I don't view it as an excuse, just like I don't view like the Bohemian Grove stuff as an excuse or the Skull and Bones thing as an excuse. It's always weird to me, and it's truly insane to me that the tip of the iceberg gets revealed on these things, and then it's just not examined any further. I mean, we've been talking about the Mueller investigation for how long now, and it's so irrelevant. It doesn't matter. I mean, the Republicans don't change their mind. The Democrats don't change their mind. According to the Republicans, it's slam dunk. It's over. Who cares? According to the Democrats, it's
It's a dog and pony show to distract you from what's actually going on.
Right. And all the while, these elites are having weird ass parties and worshiping owls, and but that's not news.
Well, I mean, even as recent as the whole like Hillary email scandal and Pizzagate and all that, where did all that go? It's like there's all this evidence of a lot of this shit happening, and one of the reasons why people got behind Trump, it's like, well, she's doing all this shit, fucking lock her up. And where did that go? He got selected, and
you had New York policemen who said that we have horrible damning evidence of Hillary Clinton worshiping Satan and molesting children. And if that's nonsense, it's huge news. It's huge news, and if it's 100% garbage, then the reporting of how it's 100% garbage should be news. Then it should be 100% talked about, exposed, and thrown away. Because how can you have somebody, the former Secretary of State of the United States of America, presidential candidate who won the popular vote, who damn near was in the Oval Office? How can these claims be made against her and you don't talk about it? That should be talked about on the news every day.
And it's not just Hillary either, but I'm assuming if there's any validity, any truth to this, it's not just one lone high-level politician. It's got to be a lot or most of them.
Right.
That they're involved. That Bill's going to be involved. That a lot of the Democrats and Republicans, a lot of the high-level government officials are probably involved with this. It's not like they can just keep that a secret amongst, a couple of them. Because they're all doing it at these parties.
Right.
Which is why you don't hear about it. But
and again, with the elites, the movie stars, the pop stars, the constant symbolism with putting up the fingers like the horns and the Illuminati triangle. There's a guy who I had never heard of, Jay Belvin. You guys know, and who that is at all? Low level guy at the AMAs. I think it was last year, the year before. Just flat out came out with like the lightning bolt on the lightning bolt put into his hair, and he's wearing the all-seeing eye on his forehead, singing this in this ritualistic dance, and it's just not talked about, and then the people that see it and point it out, they say, oh, that's just them. That's just them trolling the tinfoil hat people. That's just them making a meme out of it. And sorry, I guess I'm falling for it if that's the case. I don't.
Hidden in plain sight. Well, I mean, because conspiracy theories are basically, I mean, the whole term was made to essentially short circuit thinking. Like, just by pointing something like that out, you get labeled a conspiracy theorist, and you're completely discredited.
Right. It's basically a. I mean, it's a way of discrediting and pretty much dehumanizing people that have views that are maybe weird. I don't know.
It stifles free thought, essentially.
I mean, but the award shows especially, and just the constant symbolism. Confucius said, "Signs and symbols rule the world," and I mean, watch these things. The constant symbols, the snakes, the pillars, the black and white checkerboard. That's a big thing. That's a Freemason symbol. The lightning, the 333, the 666, the pyramids, the eyes, the eyeballs, everywhere. I mean, just you can't turn on one of these award shows without just seeing eyes and eyeballs and all-seeing eyes and the horns and the hand symbols and
number 42.
Yep. And it's weird. I mean, the. It was, I believe it wasn't the AMAs, it was the Grammys, I believe, the bigger one. But they had the Katy Perry performance and the Madonna performance, and then they wrapped it up with it's like a silly thing, but everybody wore horns on their head, and AC/DC came out and sang Highway to Hell. And it's creepy. It was, a little bit past just regular creepy, I think. I thought it was, anyway.
It normalizes it in a way too, like constantly putting it out there like that and acting like it's nothing.
But wonder if it is nothing.
It might be.
I mean,
maybe it is.
It seems like there's way too much being looked into this. I mean, so what? A guy had eyes on his forehead.
Well, I mean, he's definitely.
I mean, they were wearing horns on their head while they were playing Highway to Hell. Obviously, there was a theme to that performance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Not that it was nefarious in any way.
So I mean, so you think, Adam, that these guys are just they're making fun of us by doing that it's just
I don't think they're making fun of you.
Well, the dude, the Jay Belvin guy, I mean, he was definitely showing an outward I'm an Illuminati devil worshiper motif going on.
No, I just think that it's just part of the performance, part of the art. I just think there's way too much. There's way too much insight going into it when there doesn't need to be.
Okay, I mean, so you think there's nothing to the occult and Masonic symbolism?
Not when it comes to somebody that has an eye on their forehead when they're performing on stage.
What about in just Hollywood? Period. Do you think they're?
No, not really. No, and I mean when you're going on about the awards too, it's just there's. Okay, so it's a pyramid-looking award. I mean, so what? There's.
And so I mean, you don't buy the symbolism at all?
There's hundreds of different awards that are in the shape of a pyramid.
So what does a pyramid have to do with American music?
It could be just some aesthetic thing. I mean, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in a pyramid. I mean, are they part of the occult too?
Maybe.
I mean, it's just who cares? I mean, so you can't have pyramids and not be and all of a sudden now you're being questioned about it?
I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning it.
But they very intentionally make the props.
Do they though? I mean,
yes.
do they intentionally do it? Do they intentionally do it in the sense that we're doing this because we want to put out little signs that we're part of, of the satanic cult, or do they do it just because it just might look good?
When you go and you see a movie, like, I mean, any high budget movie you see, every little prop, everything that goes in the background, every little detail, that stuff gets planned out pretty meticulously. Things
Does
don't
it?
Just, yeah, they.
I mean, I don't.
so.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does. I think you guys are. I think you're putting way too much insight on this.
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I don't at all. I actually think it's...
Again, it just seems. I don't know. I mean, wow, an award is in the shape of a pyramid.
Well, I mean, that wasn't the only thing we said. I mean,
No, but it was one of them. Though.
yeah, it was one of them.
It's when you see the symbolism repeated, though, it's not coincident. It's not a coincidence for it to happen that often. When it happens as often as it does with some of the things that Josh had mentioned, it has to be because of a repeated effort. You have to make a concentrated effort for it to show up.
But what is their obsession with eyeballs? I mean, it's...
What do you have? Does every single performer go out there with an eyeball on their forehead?
No, but the background is usually something like that. This is...
What? The backgrounds have eyeballs?
Yeah.
For every performance.
Not everyone ever, but a lot.
Okay, well,
Pretty much every award show at some point has done this over the
an
last 10
eyeball
years.
is a pretty common thing. I mean, we see eyeballs every single day.
I've
We all
never
have
done-
eyeballs.
Yeah, I know. So what's the big deal? Why do they keep having to show them to us?
Again, it's a stylistic. It's an aesthetic.
Okay, a
type of
stylistic thing showing what? You don't stylistically do things for no reason.
Yeah, you
You
could.
stylistically show... Okay.
You could. I mean,
Okay.
it's just.
All right. Okay. All right. Then do you think it's nonsense? I guess. I mean, I don't. I mean, that's what the show is about.
No, that's fine. I'm just playing the other side of it.
Christian Bale thanked Satan in the last when he won his Golden Globe. I guess that could be considered just another silly, goofy thing that he did, but he, thanked Satan as an ode to how he inspired Dick Cheney for the for the role. But again, I'm sure that was maybe just a silly. Maybe it's just a meme or something. Macaulay Culkin, somebody who grew up in this, has tweeted about this several times about how the satanic symbolism.
Okay, you don't think Christian Bale was being a smartass?
I think he was being a smartass in some ways, yeah, but I don't rule out the idea that he was trying to say something as a smartass.
Okay.
About it, yeah, I think he's being a smartass. Sure. Yeah. The constant, resurrection, lightning, eyeball motif in the, in the music performances, I don't think are nothing. I think there's something to it. I think they're trying to show something for a reason. I do. Madonna's been famous for this at several award shows. Madonna is fairly irrelevant in the world of music.
I think Madonna's also worshipped every single deity there's ever.
Perhaps. Yeah. The Katy Perry and Madonna performances, especially, I think are, definitely on par with this. It's something we've mentioned in the past is the, Dave Chappelle and Martin Lawrence are two of the top people that come up a lot with this, but just why so many celebrity freakouts? Why are they, when they become initiated into this world, is there a sudden freak out? After they've made it and they're rich and famous now.
You can't deny that Hollywood doesn't have initiation rituals, even if you think it's just something like Me Too, where women have to be initiated in order to get certain roles. They'd most certainly have that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the, reverse speech, and again, that maybe this is something that a lot of people just think is nonsense, but the playing songs in reverse and, hearing what they say, this is something that's been going on since the 60s and 70s. They've been talking about this with the old records. And
did you ever hear the Beatles?
Yeah.
Number 9.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it to be very yeah, I feel like that's an issue that to me just never went away. I feel like it's
So what do you think about that then?
I think it's programming. I think it's satanic programming. I think it's trying to desensitize us into believing that this is normal. And it's been going on for decades and seems to be working because we all, see more and more of it, and the people that point it out are we say that they're crazy. Like me, evidently. Also, just like the I'm sure people think it's crazy, but just like the Yes We Can Obama speeches, when you play those backwards and you have everyone chanting in the background, play it backwards, and it sounds like they're saying thank you Satan over and over again. But I'm sure that could be altered, hey, it's 2019, right? That stuff can be altered. I think it was a lot harder to alter it back with vinyl records back in the day with some of those things. Were you saying did you want to play that, Adam?
I don't want to play because I don't want to compromise the recording.
Oh, okay.
I would probably get flagged.
Yeah, okay.
Taken down, so.
Good point. Ed, you mentioned Pizzagate. This whole, idea that some of the elites are into this. Have you seen the pictures of the necklace that Chelsea Clinton always wears?
No, what is it?
I mean, Chelsea Clinton, she says it's not, but Chelsea Clinton wears an upside-down cross around her neck.
There was, right around the time that all hit, Katy Perry had a pretty big hit. The It's No Big Deal song. I don't know if you've heard it or seen the video. The video had tons of symbolism.
Yeah.
I mean, pizza, there were dudes dressed as Pee Wee Herman, and who's been in some trouble.
Right.
It was all over. And, pizza being sort of pedophile code online. Maybe I'm looking into it too much, but it's there.
Yeah. No, I think it is too. But if this is all just nothing and it's just grasping at straws, then I don't know what to say. I mean, if that's how people view it, but no, I think it's a big deal. My computer's not connected to the internet great, but if you want to Google image Chelsea Clinton and her cross necklace, it will pop right up, I'm sure. She says it's not. She says it's just a clasp that is over top of it, and it makes the cross look upside down. But I know. I mean, she says no.
That's exactly what it is. I'm looking at it right now.
But that's a symbolism. That's satanic symbolism. Then she turned her cross into into a form. I mean, if I was like a totally ignorant Christian, okay, I'm a Christian, as we've discussed, and somebody pointed out to me, hey Josh, dude, the necklace you're wearing, that's not a Christian symbol. That's the opposite, dude. That's a satanic symbol, I would say.
Technically speaking, the inverted cross isn't a satanic symbol. It's a Christian symbol. Not that this is a inverted cross, because it's not. But just throwing it out there, the inverted cross is technically a Christian symbol.
Of what?
Who was crucified upside down?
Yeah,
was
Peter,
it Paul?
Peter.
Was it Peter?
Yeah.
What's the cross of Peter?
Yeah, but it was done by the. He didn't want to be crucified upside down.
Jesus didn't want to be crucified at all, I'm sure, but he was still
Right, but that became a symbol of the church. The symbol of the cross upside down is a symbol against the church.
Okay, but it was still a Christian symbol. Certainly not as popular as the regular cross, but
Okay.
okay. I mean, I'm just stating it.
Well, if somebody pointed out that your cross looks like it's upside down, and you'd say, "Oh yeah, it's just this," it's not like she's not a person of means.
Okay, she should be like, I don't give.
Well, so, I would define, or maybe say, Satanism started off with a rebellion against God. Really, okay.
Yeah.
If we're gonna talk, if
Yes.
you crack open the Bible, pretty much right there in the beginning, Adam and Eve, they eat from the fruit of the tree of
life.
and it all happens there. So Satanism is basically just going against God. So if you take Christianity to be
Just Lucifer doesn't become Satan until he loses the battle.
Yeah.
He's just Lucifer before that, and then he becomes both after he is cast into hell.
Mm-hmm. So if you have a symbol that is essentially pro-God and you're going against that, then isn't that Satanism, basically?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is if something is pro something and you do the opposite of its anti whatever that is. So I guess that's just to answer your question, Adam, of how is that, let's say how that could be.
What question? Wait, what question?
Or maybe you didn't answer, but what we were talking about of how that's just not just an upside down cross. How is that? Because you were saying it's a Christian symbol, saying actually it's kind of a satanic symbol if it's essentially rejecting God.
Well, I mean, there's tons of Christian symbols out there. I mean, some of which aren't used anymore, and and in this case, that one was adopted by devil worshippers. And yeah, I'm not denying that devil worshippers don't use it as part of their imagery. I'm just saying it was originally a Christian symbol. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it just, like, for instance, the goat has kind of always been a satanic symbol, and that was adopted by the Freemasons later, which seems strange when they, that they would adopt that symbol when it had that, obvious meaning, which is what, their order through chaos idea is, they would... I believe when you join the Freemasons, they make you pledge that you believe in some sort of higher power, but that you don't have to specify which one. And the rumors, and again, rumors, because they're very secretive, they are a secret society, proud to be a secret society, is that once you get further up, you are told which deity you are supposed to be worshiping. I mean, Adam, you've been pretty clear that you think, this idea that there's, satanic symbolism in the award shows, or that the elites and the pop stars and the movie stars are throwing out satanic symbolism. And do you believe that they're trying to throw out Freemasonic symbolism? At least, do you kind of see that the huge amount of movie stars and rich people who are Freemasons, who you wouldn't normally think are, one big example is typically when you think about Freemasons, you don't typically think about black people. You think about older white dudes, but you have a lot of proud Freemason African Americans now in the rap scene, and Shaq's a Freemason, and you've this is a big thing. And are they just proud of it because it's cool and they're into it? I mean, they could be, but I mean, they definitely throw out the symbolism. Or are we misreading that?
What the?
I mean, do you agree that there is a lot of Freemasonic symbolism in these things?
And what they do, like on stage?
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes
I mean, and this is obviously dates back for a long time. On our dollar bills and things like that. So if I mean, maybe it's total nonsense, but if there is a link to occult and Freemasonry, and we have been ruled by people who are Freemasons for our entire existence, and the symbolism is all over our dollar bills and all over our capitals and everything else, that's weird. I mean, it's weird anyway, even if they're not satanic or nefarious. It's just weird that this symbolism is all over the place. Or maybe it's not weird. Maybe it's just, maybe they're just into that. I don't know. But I mean, I don't know what that has to do with like our money or our buildings in the Capitol or.
How many pyramids are there in the U.S.?
None that I know of. Just pictures of them. Many of the, well, I won't get into that right now. But the idea that it would seem to some, and again, maybe this is just a Christian perspective, it would seem to some that many of the things that are warned about in the Bible are kind of coming to fruition in the modern world. Whether it be, Vera chips wanting to be put into people or things like that, the mark of the beast. To those who believe in Christianity, or actually any of the three Abrahamic religions, this is scary to them. The loss of privacy, the idea that we will be tracked and marked as, minions of Satan rather than followers of God. But again, this is, I guess I'm one of those people that does believe that not just simply that the powers that be are nefarious, but perhaps I look at them as more nefarious than others do. People like to talk about the deep state and the Illuminati and who's really running the show, and but I don't know. Is it just their greed? Is it just their greed, or is it something more than that? We mentioned in the past that when we've defined what the difference between the NWO and the Illuminati is. Well, the NWO is the goal, but the Illuminati is the religion. Well, if the Illuminati is the religion, what are they worshiping? I don't think it's God or Jesus and truth is that if you were to be somebody that was a follower of Lucifer, then when you said something about thanking God, for instance, if you won an award and you thank God, you're not necessarily talking about the God that is being talked about on Sunday. To them, Lucifer is God.
Because the greatest trick that Satan pulled wasn't that he didn't exist, but that he was in fact God.
Yeah, right.
Essentially a role reversal.
Right. He wanted to actually create a new heaven that was above the other heaven, where he would sit on the throne. Again, this is all just, what's said in the Bible. This is the Christian perspective of it, or the Judeo-Christian, Abrahamic view of it. The Book of Revelations, if you will. It talks about this. I guess that wouldn't be a Jewish perspective if you're talking about the Book of Revelations, but it is indeed mentioned there. Isaiah 14:12, Luke 10:18 is where they talk about the lightning and the symbolism behind lightning. When you see these award shows or see other symbolism, you always see lightning. You could say that's no big deal, but they don't symbolize earthquakes or rain or snow or anything else. It always seems to be lightning. Again, maybe that's nothing. Maybe it's nothing at all. Maybe they just really like, it's just totally coincidence that, snakes, pillars, black and white checkerboards, lightning, eyes, horns, and hand symbols always seem to pop up in these things. I guess it could be. I'm the type of person that doesn't really believe in coincidence. If something happens over and over again, I tend to think that there's a reason for it. There's something to that.
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Carl Jung.
Yeah. Adam, you had mentioned something. I think you know more about this than the rest of us. You had mentioned the thing with Baphomet. That's kind of not really a satanic thing. That's more of a what is that exactly? The Baphomet thing. Where does that come from?
I think it
that's what the statue is that the modern Church of Satan
and
puts
it's
up.
what the Knights Templar were accused of worshiping. I don't really know a whole lot about it. I want to see who I had it right here. Who it was originally created by? I believe it was a French occultist. But there it is. Eliphas Levi, and let's see here. He included into two of his books, two different volumes in which he included the image he had drawn himself, which he described as Baphomet, the Sabbatic goat, showing a winged humanoid goat with a pair of breasts and a torch on its head between its horns. This image has become the best-known representation of Baphomet. Levi considered the Baphomet to be a depiction of the absolute in symbolic form and explicitated in detail his symbolism in the drawing that served as. Let me see here. I'm trying to get a overall meaning of it. Let's see. In 1856, the name Baphomet has been associated with the Sabbatic goat, drawn by Levi, which contains binary elements representing the sum total of the universe, male and female, good and evil, on and off, on which hand Levi's intention was to symbolize the concept of equilibrium of the opposites, which is why you can see the Church of Satan why they probably use this as one of their symbols.
I think they've also embraced it too because of their stance on LGBTQ stuff, transgender. Mm-hmm. The Baphomet is a transgender being, if you will.
Yeah, that was essential to to his majestic notion of the astral light. On the other hand, the Baphomet represents a tradition that should result in a perfect social order.
Okay.
So in terms, it sounds like it represents balance. Essentially, I think.
But that wasn't typically a satanic thing, or
no, it doesn't seem like it. I mean,
the Knights Templar were accused.
You can get again. It's not something that you worship, so it's labeled as something that is bad, and I think that's and And when you look at it too, it takes on the form of the Christian monotheistic devil. I mean, it has the horns. It it has a pentagram on its forehead. Although I don't know how long the pentagram has been associated. I don't think the pentagram was around.
I don't think it goes to 1856.
Well, I don't think it goes back to the time of the Knights Templar either. But I mean, you could see why they wanted to associate it with the devil, but it certainly doesn't seem like it has any association with Satan as it's seen by
Satan.
Lucifer Satan. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess the question that I guess we'll kind of wrap up in is if one is to believe, and keep in mind, the question started with if one is to believe that there are elites who are, secretly, perhaps with nefarious intent, running the show, is there a Luciferian aspect behind that? Behind some or all of these secret societies. Another thing that that some I've heard link to this is that at award shows, I'll go back to again, for instance, but in other spots as well, you will regularly hear elites, and especially entertainment elites, tell everyone to go get out and vote. And this, at times has been linked to this idea that they basically want people to think that matters. that they aren't controlling both sides. That the sides actually.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who you vote for. Just perpetuate the system.
Right. Because if they control both sides, then just go vote and pretend like what you're doing matters. But
it kind of makes you complicit in a way, and sort of affirms that it's somehow legitimate.
Yeah. So I guess that's the question: is if you believe that there are elites or secret societies who are running the show, or who are more, if you're the type of person that believes that Rothschilds or Rockefellers are or even the Bush family, if you will, or people along those lines, that they actually are controlling this. Is there something more nefarious behind their plot? I guess that's the question. Do we want to wrap up with that while we're going into Pumpkin and get some final thoughts?
Go ahead, Ed.
Obviously, I would agree with you. I think that there is a lot of overt symbolism, and that a lot of people in Hollywood, a lot of high-level politicians probably are Luciferians, Satan worshippers, and practicing in their way. Just, it's not necessarily like they're not sitting there worshiping Baphomet or whatever. They're doing other things, but it's I would say it's there, and they're flaunting it with their symbolism. And maybe I'm just a tinfoil hat wearing, looking into things too much, but there's so much of it there. Why is there so much of it? I think there's too much for it to be a coincidence.
Yeah. Adam, you want to go, or you want me to go?
I think I've made it apparent what I think.
Okay.
I think that it's all totally, completely overblown.
I do. Do you believe that there are you believe to some degree in Illuminati type ideas, right? Or no? I'm just going off past shows, not tonight necessarily.
Anymore necessarily. If I did before, maybe to some extent, as far as the devil worship and shit like that. as far as like this, what I think is overblown insight into the shape of awards and certain costume choices.
No, we know that you think that's nonsense. I just was wondering if you aside from the whole Luciferian aspect, are you a believer in, I guess, like a NWO, Illuminati type idea? The things we've discussed in past shows. Not
I think there could be a certain aspect to that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess is that it? Are you done?
That's it.
Okay. I guess yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and actually I again, maybe I'm just a tinfoil hat wearing weirdo myself. But yeah, I mean, I actually agree with you, and perhaps even take it a step further. I do believe that there are elites who are controlling our world, who are controlling a lot more of it than we even realize. And I do believe that there is something nefarious behind it. And I do believe that whether the devil exists or not, that many people in the know, many elites, believe in the devil and worship him the same way I believe in God. One of the reasons I believe that is because I don't see why they keep doing it if they don't. I don't see why they keep up the charade and why they keep going. I think the vast majority of people out there would stop once they were rich and famous. I think the people that wish to remain public, such as the Madonnas of the world, I think the vast majority of people in the world, if all they cared about was normal greed stuff, like money, then she wouldn't bother with any of this stuff. She's already rich. She's already got everything she wants. Move on and be the retired pop star that you could be. For those that don't wish to be public, the Rothschild family is the one I keep going back to. I don't see why they perpetuate some of the things and keep the occult secrecy they do. When they already have more money than you could possibly do anything with. They couldn't be broke if they tried. It is impossible for them to lose the money they have. And that's not even the main ones. That's they're dumb kids who you hear about every once in a while who pop up because they made it into the news, or they tried to start a rap career or something like that, like one of their daughters did a few years back. To me, it doesn't make sense why they keep going with it. But hey, maybe I'm just grasping at straws. Maybe I just want to believe that because I dislike them, and I assign my dislike to them through my own Christian beliefs and think that they're so different than me, they must be the polar opposite, not just politically and ideologically, but spiritually as well. But yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that there's definitely a Luciferian aspect to this, and that there's a driving spiritual force coming back the other direction. But that's all. What did Ed pull out of pumpkin this week, Adam?
This week. The Constitution, is it actually relevant?
Okay. The Constitution, is it actually relevant? That's a good topic. And we will discuss that. When is our next Deep Issues? It is May.
May 14th.
May 14th. The Constitution, is it still relevant? Is it actually relevant? Is that...
Was it ever?
May 14th. Okay, that will be a good topic. We definitely know about the Constitution here at Deep Issues. Be a different kind of topic, and it should definitely be fun. I already got some really good ideas for that. So tune in for that, May 14th, and next week, which will be, what's next week? What's the date next week? I don't know. The 7th, yes, the 7th. So, okay, so this one's in 2 weeks. I forgot because this is our week 5 deep issues. So next week, regular edition of the Xcast. It'll be Adam. Next week is episode number 100.
All right.
Of the Xcast. So that'll be cool. Do something special for that, and then we'll be right back with you 2 weeks from now for the Constitution. Is it still relevant? Right here on Deep Issues. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Stay creepy.